we're actually working with the soul. And so the soul is actually guiding us to where we need to heal. You know, the soul knows exactly why we're here and all that stuff. But the body is like kind of, we're caught up in all of the entanglement of the emotions, etc.
Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. And welcome everybody to another Spiritual Rockstar Podcast show. I am so grateful to have the guest we have today. She's all things galactic and all more, much more, but so many things. Just a pure light transmitter. She's got incredible energy and transmutation she brings into the field for everybody that she comes in touch with, which is you today. So we're so grateful that you're here, Susan Kennard. So grateful to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Thanks, Daniel. And thanks so much for inviting me. I'm excited.
Good thing. Me too. So let me tell you a little bit about Susan. So she has a background in psychology and psychotherapy, which is part of my background as well, spanning over 25 years. Susan has a unique blend of knowledge and skills that has allowed her to develop her own powerful approach to helping others through various energy healing modalities as well. Operating internationally through Zoom, Susan is sought after as a therapist, speaker, and presenter. With a clear channel to spirit and the higher realm, Susan's work is known for its speed, directness, and accuracy. As a medium and channel, she collaborates with her galactic guides, which we may hear from today, incorporating channeling, toning, and light language to facilitate deep healing and heart field activation, empowering individuals to manifest their desires effortlessly. That's the best, right? Susan's accomplishments extend to the realm of writing as well. She's author of Awaken the Light Within Your Hearts by Hay House, Balboa Press Division. She also has a new children's book, The Guardian Wings. Her expertise has garnered media attention that's included British BBC Two and ITV TV, Sky, and interviews on international tele-summits and podcasts. She also hosts her own podcast, The Spiritual Awakener, available on major platforms, and has cultivated a growing following on YouTube. Driven by her unwavering belief and innate capacity for self-healing and the ability to create a life of abundance, Susan is dedicated to helping individuals reconnect with their inner healer and align with their soul's mission. So, Susan, again, such a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you.
I know I was on your podcast a few years ago or whatever it was now, 2-3 years.
A lifetime ago.
It feels like a lifetime ago by now, but I just the things I have connected with that you do, I just always get excited by your energy. It's just like yummy energy, right? And I think that's why you're
Yummy, that's
popular.
cool.
Yeah, you get pretty popular because people could feel the yummy energy and they're like, I want some of that energy. And then they want to receive, your frequencies that are flowing through you, right? So I think that's what's one of the cool things about you. Now you did do the psychotherapy stuff like I did in the past. It's part of my background. So what took you from like kind of the mainstream, like doing that for so long, it sounds like, and then transitioning into doing more of this sort of work?
Yeah, I mean, probably it's equalizing out now in timescales in a linear time. But I would say that around about age 27, I was working in child protection and I had an awakening. And I'm 55, in a few weeks, so it was a long while away, a while
We're the
ago.
same age, basically. I just turned 55.
Yeah, I'm just about to. And so I had this awakening where I had someone who came to me in the night, and I had like a out of body experience, which I actually do outline in my book, in the first part of my book. But essentially, what happened was this is fast tracking, but essentially realized that we were so much more than we were. And so I trained in psychodynamic psychotherapy. So I did psychology and then I did psychodynamic psychotherapy. And I realized, oh, that's kind of not what it is. And yet I continued to work in child protection in the field of trauma and I became a trauma specialist. But I was living a parallel life. And this parallel life was that I ended up working as a platform medium. So, if people don't understand what a platform medium is, it's someone who stands in front of the people in the congregation, I think you'd call it, and addresses the congregation and brings through loved ones and evidence of survival. So that kind of started my speaking career, even though I did not realize that's what I was going to do. So that's a kind of fast track. And I was working as this trauma specialist, loving what I did, but realizing that there was a massive missing part to trauma work and psychology and psychotherapy. And I always say it's almost like, we can talk about it till the cows come home. It's kind of an English expression. But actually, when we do this energy work, as you know, we're actually working with the soul. And so the soul is actually guiding us to where we need to heal. The soul knows exactly why we're here and all that stuff. But the body is like kind of, we're caught up in all of the entanglement of the emotions, etc. So talking therapy has its place. And psychotherapy definitely has its place. And I think that I'm sure you would feel this as well, is that what a great grounding that was, to actually learn how to hold space for people in a safe way, and actually to be able to have the skills to really listen. And I think that's really key. So if we take anything away from psychotherapy training, I would say know thyself big time, because you start to know yourself more and why you are who you are. And then you start to open the door when you open the soul's knowing. So that kind of is like the first step, I feel. So yeah, it's kind of a long version of why I transformed from psychotherapy into working with spirit and energy work. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's basically like you started opening up more to all of who you are and therefore
Yeah.
all of what everybody else is. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, there's a super express highway, so sort of like to clearing some of these things
Yeah.
where, it might take, kind of forever sometimes with some of these things through
Feels
traditional
like it.
therapy, right? So
Mm.
that's what I'm hearing, in between the lines there of what you said. Like, wow, I mean,
Mm.
we need to go to a deeper space or whatever, a deeper place with all
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, for my journey with that, I always just felt like it was also limiting the therapy stuff because it's like, okay, we need to change your thoughts or change your behaviors or whatever, or we need to psychoanalyze you or what, let's talk about when you were five again, or whatever. And it just kind of keeps you, if you're doing well with that, like it keeps people energized and seeing insights and breakthroughs if it all goes together well, right? With the
Hmm.
right person. And then you have to be with the right
The
person for
right
that
person. Mm.
reality.
The match. Yeah.
Everybody's very verbal, like it's so many factors where something like with what you do now with these transmissions, energy modalities and whatnot, it's more universally, I think, effective, to be honest. I really do think it's more universally effective. I'm not saying, it'll help every single person completely, like eliminate all their problems overnight. Right? I'm just
So
saying,
yeah,
like,
it's
overall,
not
I,
it's not a
I
quick
think it's,
fix.
I think
Mm.
it's, yeah, more effective is, my take on it. Is that what, kind of what you started to see as you started awakening to these gifts and abilities and helping the
Yeah.
people in that way?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that one of the most important things in my awakening, I feel, was that I I was a resistant medium and I was a resistant person because I'm so evidence based. I used to do loads of research, I still do research, but loads of research into trauma and drugs and addiction and, perpetrators and all that kind of stuff. So I was real evidence. So then when I tried to disprove mediumship, and I tried to disprove spirit, and I tried to disprove, who we were. I went on that journey quite a while to try and make, well, sure, it can't be that. Surely it's that, but I just couldn't disprove it. And on that journey of trying to disprove it, I actually realized, I could actually see, I could hear, I could see into the body. I was knowing stuff about things,
Mhm.
and so it then, the part of me that, age 27, that bit, in our Saturn return in our astrology, I'm an intuitive astrologer as well. So looking at that, if I'd have known that then, I could have gone, oh, okay, well, this is all meant to happen. But of course, at those times, it was a long time ago. And people weren't fast tracked like they are now. So I think
Mhm.
I was meant to awaken at that early age so that I can help people fast track now, and they're ready.
Mhm.
They're ready. And of course, I'm sure we're going to talk about the ascension pathway,
Mhm.
but we're really stepped fully into this part of our new earth. And I think that if we stay in the old paradigm of churning out and talking about our problems, and
Mhm.
bringing up, as you said, like the 5-year-old, you might bring up the 5-year-old and talk about the 5-year-old. Well, actually, yeah, it's good to acknowledge,
Mhm.
actually that was how it was, but we don't have to hold on to it, and we can give compassion to that part of ourselves that might be outside of ourselves, playing the role and preventing the abundance and preventing the harmonious life that we're actually is our birthright.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
fundamentally living our authentic mission.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm very interested in hearing your perspective because people throw out these terms. I have too. Let's go to 5D or let's ascend
Mm.
or like I mean, all these things and New Earth, things that you just said. And to some degree, I'm just kind of tired of the language, to be honest. Like, but yet we're trying
Yeah,
to, we need to use some
yeah,
kind of language, right? But I'm kind of getting tired of it because I think like there's a lot of misconceptions about what it all is. First of all, like what does that even mean? Like I answer that because I have many times, right?
yeah,
Okay, 5D means this and that, ascension means this or that, New
yeah.
Earth means this or that. But it's like I think the danger of the languaging sometimes can be it can at times denote the idea of like we have to get somewhere. We're not there. We have to keep after it until we get
I
there.
get
And then
that.
once we get
I
there,
get that.
everything's perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
Then we're
yeah.
going to be in a perfection land. And it's so
Yeah,
false. It's such a false
yeah,
paradigm.
yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, that's what's getting communicated a lot of times, directly or indirectly. And I was wondering how you like to communicate
Yeah,
about it. How do you
sure.
like to talk about these types of things that are unfolding?
So
Yeah.
I can only see it from the way I see it. And so for everybody else, really feel what resonates with you and what doesn't resonate with you, throw away, right? But the way I see it and the way the guide's kind of giving it to me all the time is that if you imagine that we're a mirror, and the reflection that we have on the outside is a reflection of our inner stuff and beliefs. So, from a trauma specialist perspective, and as you are as well, is that we have all of these kind of bits and pieces, and I like to call them dust in the field. And we have these dusty bits, which could be shame, guilt, fear, all that stuff, right? And
Mhm.
everyone has a little bit of that. Like, no one's perfect. And it's not about us becoming a perfect frequency or a perfect being, because that's not the point of it. But what the point I feel is to, thank you, take responsibility for what you are attracting. And what you are attracting is a perception of how you feel. Okay. So there's a belief within you that holds a frequency. So let's say it's fear. It's a blanket one, but let's say it's fear. If I can think about this concept of new earth, sorry, old earth, new earth. If I think of that, my analogy is that when you hold a frequency, or you are understanding that you are soul having a human experience, that you are divine, that you are divinity, and you've got this physicality that you're carrying your soul around in. But the bigger part of you is actually, I like to imagine it like a bigger, sparkly part of you, and that is connected to this part, which is also sparkly, right?
Mhm.
But carrying a human around for a while. So if we imagine that we are a frequency of remembering, then part of us releases the thoughts or paradigm of being in the victim or the fear or the I need to control something, or I'm going to listen to somebody else's decision about what I should do with my life or my body, let's say. Yeah, it's been happening a lot recently.
Mhm.
So perhaps when we remember who we are, we've gone on that journey of awakening, maybe like I had. Mine was a bit of a shock of awakening, but we have this awakening and we go, okay, all right, oh gosh, now I have to look at myself in another way, because I am a soul having a human experience. I'm not just something that's just going to die. I'm not just a brain. And like a medical model feels like the mind is separate from body, quite often that's not true. We are an integrated, beautiful being. So the new earth for me is not that there's going to be like a new physical earth, but the new earth for me is a frequency of remembering. And what comes with that is the letting go. And we're having this right now with the beautiful eclipse energy, the letting go of the old bits of the fears and the dramas and the karmic stuff, possibly. And if we believe in other times, then perhaps we're letting go of old things and ancestral beliefs and growing in the womb and all of this stuff that we brought in with us. Because as we remember, but we remember not only in a mind level, we remember actually in a true frequency level. We start to see opportunities. We start to see, just as a funny thing, we start to see our bank balance changing. We start to see our friendships changing. And that is because we are changing. And
Mhm.
we are starting to become, it's just my opinion, but we're starting to become more authentic. And so we take responsibility for our words. We take responsibility for who we are. We take responsibility for why perhaps we chose to come. And that's what I think ascension is.
Mhm.
My background, if people are listening to this and they're watching the video, is, as I see it clairvoyantly, the colors of ascension. So the higher our frequency is, higher is the wrong word, the finer our frequency is, the less dust we have in our field, the more we are that rainbow frequency of light. That's how I see it clairvoyantly. When the guides show it to me and I see people and I look into their field, or I look at, how far they've stepped out into their power and their higher self, that's what I see. So to me, I feel the new earth and the old earth is the letting go. The old earth is the letting go of our old sense of who we are, and remembering that we are this divine being, and that, actually, we have to remember that we're not on our own. We are our inner healer. We remember that when our body shows us a message, we need to listen to what our soul is trying to convey. We're never on our own. We've got our beautiful beings with us, our guides, our angels, ascended masters, loved ones as well. And we're not on our own doing it. And I think those things really help us ascend to our new earth. And the new earth is what we make. We make our life that way. Does that
Mhm.
kind of make sense to
Sure. I
how you
mean,
see it?
what I really love is just, the way you talk brings a frequency that helps people to just relax into what's really there, right? Like, so
Yeah,
you're
that's what it
awakening
is.
people through your transmission of just the way you're talking, like just your frequency beyond what you're saying in words as well. So I
Mm.
appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I love the idea that we're clearing away the dust or whatever. It's time to dust things up a bit. Um, that is a pretty good analogy, because it's like we're these infinite pure light beings at our essence, right? And then It's like we come into physical form or whatever, and separation ideas, and
Yeah.
dust accumulates, and it's like, wait a minute, now I'm beginning to believe I ain't nothing, and all this or whatever.
I
I'm
can't
not
see in my mirror anymore. I have to
the
dust
turd
it
in
off.
the mirror, right? Like,
Mm.
I am that turd. And then you
Yeah.
gotta, oh, wait a minute, as you wipe it away, wow, now I
Yeah.
see something else, right? And so, and then you look beyond the mirror, and like, there's just so many layers of perception.
Yeah.
You said something that was really interesting. You said, we're attracting the perception of how we're feeling. Like, that's an
Mm.
interesting one. We could spend time unpacking that one. So what do you mean by that? Like, let's talk about that.
Oh, so I mean, coming away from a trauma model, yeah, rather than because obviously it's banded around a lot, our trauma, and that was obviously my specialism. If we
Mhm.
come away from that, we can come into a place of saying, okay, so that happened in my life. And a lot of things we actually do know. We remember, it's frontal cortex, we remember it. But there are also pieces that we don't remember. And these are obviously the, reptilian brain, the old brain, where we're growing in the womb. We've brought in our ancestral pieces, we brought in our past life, maybe pieces. And that's held as a frequency and a belief. And I believe that we trigger that in this childhood. So I
Mhm.
believe that childhood is not the causal trauma or the causal perception of belief. Mother leaves, father leaves, whatever. I believe that we trigger it in childhood.
Mhm.
So therefore, we're actually holding that perception of belief. And as we hold that perception of belief, we are, well, I suppose we're just reflecting it out. So we might reflect it in our relationships, in the state of our bank balance, we might in our physical body. So we might sort of see that as an indication for ourselves. So as we start to tidy that up, as you said, dust away the pieces, then we start to feel that sense of, wow, the weight is off my shoulders. And then it goes into the next part, I feel, which is to do with, well, why am I here? Yeah. I feel better now. I'm aligning more. I can feel that there's something that I thought about that when I was a child, but I'd forgotten. And now I remember that actually I love this. I love animals. I love to be in nature. I love to serve, whatever it is. So that starts to become more to the forefront because you're listening to your true soul. So you're listening to that higher self. You're listening to that divinity within you of why you chose to come. And this body is just carrying it, just carrying that big light that's walking around. And so those pieces, I'd like to see them as dust and perceptions, because then it doesn't make it wrong or right. It just is. And I think, the old model of, well, we were trained, the old model of this is really bad, this happened, and I used to work with veterans, with PTSD for many years. And many of my processes were born from that, actually, and they've transformed now. But working with them, they had incredible perceptions that they shouldn't be here anymore, that their friend was blown up and they weren't. And actually, when you start to work on a deep level and release those perceptions of belief, they're setting up charities. They're, able to walk down the street and not feel that they're, going to be attacked. And these are people that held deep beliefs about themselves. So I see it, and I see people transform in their physical body. I see people with conditions, which of course is a message, but a perception of belief held in the body that creates a message of um, lack of love, lack of, with lots of anger, things like that. And then the body shows that message. I've seen people heal themselves with cancer. In fact, 3 people I can think on my hand that have healed themselves by going on the journey, deep journey, but on the journey of realizing who they are and
Mhm.
letting go of the dusty bits and kind of, that's not really me, that happened, but it doesn't define who I am.
Do you want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today.
Mhm.
And the other side to that, maybe the third piece of that, is how amazing that happened. How beautiful and how I transformed, let's say, into the person that I'm meant to be. But now I don't need to be in that story. I can let that story go because I don't need to hold it. But it was such a great story, you know? And I think it's like, you know, we can look at those things that happen to us in our life and say, yeah, actually, I'm really grateful that happened because actually it led me to the place that I am now where I realize why I'm here.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think with people like veterans and certain
Mm,
scenarios, it's like, well, at some level, you might think, depending on the scenario, but you might be like, I was thrown in there and this and that happened, and I it kind of happened to me, kind of thing. And
yeah,
you, like you
good
said, with the
point.
victim kind of mentality comes in. But I think underneath victim mentality is people that are feeling like they are grossly inadequate, you know, like I screwed up. If it wasn't for me, that person wouldn't have died. Like those kind of beliefs are underneath sometimes, even the idea of like maybe I should have died, like because like I screwed up, like they would have lived if it wouldn't. So like things like that. Like the only reason why I got abused by my mom or dad or whatever is because I must screwed up, right? So that's one of the most common things. It's so funny some of the parallels between us. Like I studied a lot with
Yeah.
PTSD and trauma, and everything was a big specialty area of mine in graduate school. So, but like you tend to, you know, believe like you did something wrong.
Hmm.
That's pretty interesting because some aspects of our psyche, it's a pretty persistent idea. Like so it's not like they're like for those that are at some level are putting a victim thing, so they are not feeling so responsible. I feel sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, how do you deal with that? Because there's things in my own life I think about choices I made, and I'll
Mhm.
be like, I can't take it back. And I could look at, oh, it was glorious. Everything's perfect. I made all perfect choices. Of course it was perfect because it happened, and all the spiritual jargon. I can say that. But one
Mhm.
part of my psyche is like, oh, you screwed up. Yeah, you screwed that one up.
I can help you with that. I can help you.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I'm looking for. How can you help us with that?
So sure, absolutely. So one of the things that I find really powerful is to give compassion. So sometimes we actually don't know how old that child was. If we do, that's really helpful. But if we don't, and it might be a baby growing in the womb, right? But we've got something showing up. So say something's showing up, and this might be for your audience. Like I use something that is a general thing that people might feel. So guilty that I didn't, I don't know, go and visit someone before they died, right? Before they passed over. So
Mhm.
guilty that we didn't do that, right?
Mhm.
So what we would do is that's never about today. So that feeling of guilt is about a time when we felt guilty or we held that perception of belief. So we don't know when that was. And sometimes, you know, we'll never know. So what I do with people, if they're open to this, is I get them to say these words. Okay. And these words are something like this. I'm so sorry that you feel so guilty. I'm so sorry that you hold that in your heart. I'm so sorry that you felt you were all on your own. I'm so sorry that you forgot you were always guided. Shall I carry on? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that you perceived that you were unworthy of love. I'm so sorry you forgot that you had a special heart to share with the world. Right. So, whatever I get guided, obviously, to work with.
Mhm.
But what we're doing there is we're actually accessing a part of ourselves that felt that emotion that was never accepted, contained, or released in that moment. So then
Mhm.
what happens is the charge, I suppose we could call it, the charge or the energy and the perception held is either much less or it's gone completely.
Mhm.
And if we actually know that how old that child was, so say if somebody actually experienced some abuse, And maybe they even remember the conversation or they remember what happened. I've got other processes for that, but let's just say they're just remembering something and it's triggered them. Then to actually, acknowledge that child, and actually see them in their mind's eye. So they might be able to kind of imagine that 3-year-old or imagine that 6-year-old or imagine they're at school or whatever, and really acknowledge that child. And sometimes I have a particular process in my book actually called time traveling. And so sometimes what we can do is we can actually look at that picture in our mind. I'm going over here because I get like a video screen. So we look at that picture in our mind, we freeze it. As we look today, step into that scene, help that child to actually heal those parts of them. And there's some really cool things that happen within that. And bring that child into our heart and then come back and then revisit that scene. A good one is if you get diagnosis or something like that. This is a really good, powerful process. And it's literally clearing that from your cells. So it clears that fear, it clears that perception of belief, and then you have a different frequency out to the world. But you're not actually experiencing the trauma. Because I think, in our old days, yeah, quite often people would re-experience the trauma. They would re-experience, oh my God, I feel that so badly in my heart, or they would shake, or they would, obviously we've both seen that with people. And we don't need to go there now. We don't need to go there. Acknowledging it, compassion, and releasing it and bringing to the heart, I feel is like a massive way to help ourselves heal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's is powerful. I mean, bringing that compassion, the putting that loving, like you
Mm,
mentioned earlier, the loving compassion
mm.
for for yourself, so to speak. And,
It is
like,
yourself, yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah, like,
yeah.
okay, no matter
And we don't
what.
say that, do we? We don't say that to ourselves. So say something happens, I don't know, we do something that we perceive to be wrong.
Yeah.
There's no way we would stop and go, "Oh, I'm so sorry that you feel bad about that." But when we access, but when you access it from the perspective of that was not you, that was a part of you
Yeah. Yeah.
playing that role,
Yes. Yes.
and that part of you was probably a lot younger.
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah. Yeah, the wounded part that's like,
mm,
oh, I need to make this decision, otherwise, I'm not going to get what I need, or whatever. I'm not going to get the love or
yeah,
the attention I need, and then it backfires on you anyway. But
yeah.
like all
But
these.
that's, Daniel, when you were saying about the disconnect part a little while ago in a conversation, it was like that part of us that feels disconnected. You were
Hmm.
mentioning about that.
Hmm.
So that I think is really pivotal because
Hmm.
obviously we're never disconnected. We're
Hmm.
always connected,
Hmm.
right? But the feeling that we feel disconnected
Hmm.
creates that space of, I'm going to shut down my heart. I'm going to put up my emotional wall. I feel like I'm doing it on my own. And of
Hmm.
course, when we have, if you imagine that emotional wall, then quite often we can't see what could be there for us because we're playing small. And I
Hmm.
think definitely with people who are awakening to their spiritual journey and why they're here and really getting lit up by, gosh, I really want to do that. I really want to do that with people. The walls, they start to be healed. And then we can actually see over that wall, and there's like sunshine, and there's a beautiful sea, and it's a brilliant process called the emotional wall in my book, actually. And that was born from working with veterans.
Hmm.
And because the veterans had talked about everything, they'd seen a psychiatrist, they'd taken the drugs, and they didn't want to do it anymore. And so this, I didn't need to know anything about them. I just said to them, how tall is your wall? Yeah. And it was amazing what came from that, the visualizations of what was behind the wall, and and then healing the part of them that created that wall. So we've got so many tools within us that we can heal ourselves, and so many tools that can really catapult us
Right.
out into our light.
Yeah, there's all
Mm,
these different tools. There's so many of them, and
mm.
these are fantastic, really, really powerful ones. And so, what I know you have a great gift that you gained. So, when did you start channeling? Because I would love to experience some of this
Channeling.
channeling stuff you do.
Mm.
I don't know if you'd like to speak briefly about what awoken you, because that's part of your awakening, right? This channeling thing
Well,
is
the channeling bit was a little bit later,
okay.
but yeah. So I expect they probably want to come in and speak, but I'll just tell you
Mhm,
from my perspective first a little bit.
mhm, mhm,
So I remember, obviously I was a medium,
mhm,
and I spoke, but I would never let spirit kind of step further than just around me. Okay. So this was my kind of thing. Like I was a real control. Like I did not want anything that I didn't have control over. Right. And obviously I realized that we have pure control of everything, right? We don't have to ever worry about that. Spirit, you can ask spirit to step out, you can ask them to step in, you can whatever.
mhm,
But I resisted it for a very, very long time. And then I went on this beautiful journey of plant medicine, and I did ayahuasca years and years and years and years ago.
mhm,
And I saw beings of light, and these were the Palladians actually to start with. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then, because you know what I'm like, I'm a real resistance to anything,
mhm,
so I have to evidence it first. So when I came out of that, short story, long story short, I tested it out on my friends. So this energy would come through me, and they'd say, we'd like to speak for you. So I started toning. So what
mhm,
we would do, we would muscle test something they wanted to release,
mhm,
and then I'd say, let's see what happens when the Palladians come in. And sure enough, they released that perception of belief or something that they were holding. So I was like,
mhm,
oh wow, this is really cool. This was a long time ago, right? So then I just started to play with it, and I just said, okay, well, if this is really like, if this really is helping people, then okay, show me and bring it through in a different way. So then they just started to bring it through more and more and more, and I started to do it with private clients, and
mhm,
bring through, and then they started to speak. So then they'd start to speak light language and bring that through. And then recently, the last 6 months, I was speaking to my assistant, and she said it was about 6 months ago, I got so boiling hot that I nearly passed out on several occasions when I was teaching, right? My membership. And I got this sense that I was resisting something. So I spoke to my guys. I said, why am I feeling so like, that you literally feel like I'm going to pass out? And they said, we want to speak through you. And I said, okay. So I just let them. So I just said, okay, because I can see them. I know who they are. I know what's going on. So I just allow them to speak through me now. So what
mhm,
happens is I just get out of the way. I know who's coming in. I can see them. And then I get out of the way, and I literally cannot remember what I've said. So
mhm,
as the energy is coming through, I hear it and I know it, but
mhm.
afterwards I literally can't remember anything.
Yeah.
So I get visuals sometimes.
Mhm,
Like I'll get shown things clairvoyantly,
mhm.
but I won't remember. So that that's what happens with the galactics a lot, and the ascended masters. So it's just, yeah, just a different way of working, I suppose. Mm.
Yeah, I mean that's powerful. I mean, the X control freak, or
Yeah,
whatever the layers you let go of that, and then just
yeah,
let it to flow through. And I know with my own channeling, I mean, I'm not like that. I'm not like that where people say I can't remember a single thing. Like usually I remember something I was said for sure, minimum.
yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of
You
weird.
wait.
Don't remember
Next time you'll be not
everything.
remembering it. What podcast did I do? Oh, who was it?
Yeah, did we? I thought you were already on my podcast. So I'm like, wait a minute, she hasn't even been on yet. So
Yeah,
oh, my
I
memory is interesting sometimes.
know.
But yeah, I would love to experience that from you. If
Sure.
we do a brief,
I'll see who's
I don't know
around.
if
Yeah.
that's possible, but yeah.
Yeah, and just to say to people, like, channeling, like Daniel's talking about it as well, as like, channeling doesn't have to be that, you allow people to step and speak for you. It doesn't have to be like that. And I channeled both my books. I'm sure you channel a huge amount of information as well. But my children's book, I channeled in like an evening in September last year. So, you don't have to people don't have to speak through you. You are a channel because you are source itself and you are divinity. So yeah, doesn't have to be like this. So let's see who wants to come in. And I always say to my community, I say, this is pure trust, right? So, just pure trust. So let's see. And let me know, Daniel, if you see any differences or anything as I'm speaking, because obviously I don't see it. Okay, let me see who wants to come in and speak today. Okay. I'm smiling because this is the Galactic Federation of Light. So you'll love this, Daniel, because you wanted the Galactics to come through.
Really what I thought would come through today. That's fun.
Is that what you thought?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you probably called them. Okay. I'm getting boiling hot now, so hold on. We are indeed the Galactic Federation of Light, and we do come with so much pleasure through this channel to address you this evening. And we are excited to be with you and share energy with you, because we see so many of you on this planet with your beautiful light shining out, and yet you do not believe that you have this ability to be a dynamic soul on this planet. And we are here to say to you that you have great help, that you have many lives of help, that you forget that we are standing by your side at all times, and that we are here to assist you as you shine your light. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing that is imperfect. We see you as perfect lights on this planet, and we are honored that you chose to inhabit this physicality so that you may share the messages from us, but from the other realms that wish to include these energies in your expansion. So, the experiment of expansion is for you to remember that you are divinity itself, and that having a physical form is something that is and never was meant to stop you from remembering who you are. And so we are pleased that if you are listening to this transmission, that you have remembered who you are. And so we are excited for humanity. We are excited for you, and we are excited for everyone that you come into contact with on your journey. Please share your light. Please dream expansively. Please remember that there is nothing that you cannot be or do or share with this world. There are only aspects of you that stop you from coming into this experience of remembering. And we are here to offer you, through this transmission, some healing into your heart field. If you wish to receive this, it is so. Take a breath into your heart. And feel our energies around you. As we send codes into your heart field of remembering, and as you remember, holding these codes of light, you hold a deeper frequency of love of yourself. And as you love and understand who you are, you expand that light to others. There is nothing wrong with humanity at this time. This is perfect. We know in your human existence you see wrongs and rights. But as you connect into the true divinity that you are, you will remember that everything is as it is. Take another deep breath and see your light expanding throughout this planet. Feel the expansion of your heart and your love. We are very pleased to assist you at this time, and do not feel that you have to speak with us through this channel. We are with you. Ask us. Hmm. I'm really, really hot now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely feel more peace. I'll just put it to that for now.
Mm.
Yeah.
I could just see, so clairvoyantly, I could just see the light in all of our hearts just expanding out. This was the kind of last bit that I could see out to the planet, so that we're all standing in our light from our hearts, which was beautiful. Peace, yeah, peace. That's good. Mm.
No, we're still here with you all.
Mhm. Hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
Susan, I feel complete. How about you? How we've
Yeah,
done?
I'm
All
good.
right.
I'm good.
It's like something, whatever was processing, I just got, I don't know if your eyes opened earlier than mine, but all of a sudden we're looking at each other. I'm like, yeah, feels complete.
Yeah, it feels complete. Yeah. I mean, they step back and then I can still see them like hanging around and they're chatting to me a little bit, like just in my mind. But yeah, it feels like whoever hears this and experiences it will feel that heart expansion. And that's really what it's all about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really I won't get too much into it today,
Mm.
but yeah, I definitely got, of course, through something like this, but I really did get some cool messages, reminders, things
Oh, good.
um that again, like I intellectually know, but again, it drops in like old things like, oh yeah, well, yeah, I haven't really connected with that in a little while or whatever. Like certain things are
Wow.
coming
That's
through and
good.
I'm yeah, I'm
That's
like, oh,
good.
okay. I'm reminded about where my mind has a resistance on it, like, yeah, but, and all that stuff. And just noticed that, those
Yeah.
things come up. And so, yeah, there's lots being revealed, lots processing for everybody.
Yeah, and I think even like when I allow them to kind of step in, it takes me a few moments to just kind of feel into the energy and feel the alignment, and depending on who it is really, and when it's kind of a collective like that, you just get a sense of them all around you and like completely all around you. When it's individuals, so like Melchizedek or Mother Mary or someone you can kind of feel them kind of coming close here, and they come in with a different energy. So the
Mhm.
collectives tend to come in with quite a strong energy and like a powerful energy. Yeah, but it takes
Okay.
me a bit to let them in.
Yeah, I mean, I have channeled various different type of beings and probably maybe even the galactic and all that before,
Yeah.
but typically it's my number of beings I channel are usually smaller because that's just more what I'm been guided to mostly. But
Doesn't matter, does it?
No, it doesn't. But I just think it's interesting. Like it's a fascinating thing, like on so many levels. Anyway, so just am aware of our time-space continuum as
Oh.
much as it is an illusion. I am paying attention to persistent illusion, as they say, right?
We can
I
stretch
am
it.
looking at
We'll stretch it. We'll
right, right,
stretch
right,
the
right. Totally.
time.
And so I do know that you have a wonderful opportunity for people to keep receiving from you. Do you want to share about that?
Sure. So we decided to share one of our beautiful retreats that we ran this year, and it was a big series, but we decided to share the one about self-love, and so you can get this for free. And I think Daniel's got all the links and he'll share them. But essentially, it's stepping into the portal of self-love. So essentially, there's a lot of healing in there. There's a lot of acknowledgement, compassion. There's a lot of things like that. But then we step into this kind of beautiful energy portal. And you'll experience what you need to experience, but many experienced deep transformative healings. And so we really wanted to share this one because we felt that self-love was really important, and it's the starting place for people to really expand their heart. So we have, the whole series, but this was the one that we wanted to give as a gift. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mm.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean,
Of course, all the guides are there. Yeah. The Ascended Masters, all the galactics, they're all there in the portal. So it's really good fun.
oh, awesome. That sounds
Yeah.
phenomenal. Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we will have the links in the show notes and whatnot. So make sure you take a look at that and take advantage if you desire.
Mm.
So yeah, we're to the point of the show where I do a little
How
downloading energy
exciting.
getting, yeah, for my guests. So Susan, you ready to receive
Can
whatever
I
one?
just show can I just show my children's book? Because I really want
Sure,
all
sure, go ahead.
children to remember. So I wrote this book. Can you see it? It's called The Garden
Guardian Wings.
Wings. And I wrote it because I want all children to remember who they are. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's set in a magical world. It's for ages from sort of 2.5, 3 to right up to 11. It depends on the child, right? And it helps children remember through a magical story with all sorts of beings like unicorns, guides, angels. And I actually based it around our animals at home, my two children who are now grown up teenagers, but I based it around them. So it's a magical story with a magical tree and all sorts. So I kind of wanted to share that because it's a beautiful book, but also the message within it, for all children can remember. Like if we'd have remembered as children, yeah, it'd have been a different story. So if they can remember, then they are our next generation, our next teachers, our next leaders, our next parents. So yeah, if you can share that, that would be great.
Absolutely. We'll share that
Thanks.
as well, of course. Awesome. So yeah, so let me go ahead and
Oh,
get
I'm
ready to
excited.
receive the download.
Why not?
Okay, why not? Okay. And then remember, guys, these downloads are for you too. We're all in the oneness field here, right? So let's see what comes through. All right, 1 second. Okay. So, yeah, it's interesting. I think that, what was coming through at first is just there's excitement to receive a download from someone else that tunes in, but I also got like a little nervousness feeling like coming through,
Really?
like a wiggly niggly or something. And um, yeah, I think like there's something going on with a dynamic I sense in you. You can tell me if it's, I always say, I just share what comes through. I get a dynamic of like, I'm supposed to hold this high ground of consciousness and everything, but I don't want people to think like, I don't know, like snooty or like, or whatever. Like, I
I'll
think
tell you
I'm
in a minute.
all that or something like that. There's like
Yeah,
something going
I'll
on.
tell you in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you want
yeah.
me to tell you? Do you want me to speak to that, or do you want to carry on?
Well, I'm going to carry on for now, and
Yeah.
then we were going to
Yeah.
touch that. So that's one dynamic I noticed I'd like to talk about. And then, okay, let me tune in, see what other download I might get, and then we'll talk about it. Um, I mean, there's just I'm really just being shown the team now. Like there are a lot of animals, you know, a lot of animal guides and whatnot in your field. That seemed like out of all the things I saw in that brief quantum flash, like it seemed like that's the thing they wanted to remind you of is the animal access you have to these animal guides. So I'm
Wow.
not even hearing like which ones. I'm just
Yeah.
hearing like pay attention to this because it's all part of this love
Mm.
and compassion for ourselves. It looks like we're giving
Mm.
love and compassion for the pets. I'm kind of laughing
Oh,
because the stuff that
yeah,
went
my
on in the
cat.
US lately
Yeah.
with eating cats and dogs or whatever thing. But like, no, there is something like with everybody's like, well, the pets need more compassion, but it's like, yes, but it's like it's everything needs more compassion. Everything needs more love.
Mm.
I think like these pets is something like I don't know, seems to be something I was supposed to share with you to lean into more. So those are my two downloads. Just took two quick ones today. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts about both of those.
So I'll talk to the pets first. So we have a rescue parrot, and we have a macaw, baby macaw, and we have a cat, we have a dog. They're all in my children's book. But essentially, animals for me, I don't work with animals, but animals for me, oh my goodness. I mean, I can't bear it if I see an animal in distress, or my son is a real animal whisperer. He's a teenager, he's an animal whisperer, he helps animals heal, he's that side of things. And for me, animals are just so important. They're just so important to us as a family, and so important to me. So yeah, you're spot on with that. And I do have the unicorn guide. A friend of mine works with attuning people to unicorns. And
Mm.
I have a golden unicorn guide that pops in quite often. And the other day, funny enough, I saw a wolf, which I ordinarily, like you say, don't think about working with. But I definitely saw a wolf. So that was interesting. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
So
How about
spot
the
on.
concern about like on the other one, the concern about people thinking you're all that or whatever,
Oh,
you know?
yeah. That one, 100% right. So it's not so much um thinking about, yeah, how can I explain it? So one of the things that I find difficult is when people call themselves a guru,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
Or people look to someone else for their answers. And that's what one of the things that's really dear to me is to empower people to have their own answers. And so if that kind of makes sense, I don't want to be seen as someone who is the healer, the answer to people's problems, because my mission is to help people find their journey. So, and live their mission. And
Mhm.
so I suppose from that perspective, yeah, absolutely. I don't want to be seen that way, because I don't think anyone needs to be seen that way.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where I am with it. And if and I have noticed there are some people that you
Mhm.
know do call themselves that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't doesn't sit with me. So
Right, right.
mm,
Yeah, so
mm.
so thanks for sharing those reflections back, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful for what came through. And
Yeah,
guys, if you
thank
want,
you.
yeah, sure thing. And if you
Yeah.
guys want to check me out, go to yoursacredpurpose.com. I do have energy scanning that I can do much more in depth, obviously, than these quick downloads. So you can check that out with my Rock Your Sacred Purpose energy scan consultation. Take a look at your energy, your chakras, the downloads that want to come through that can help you to ignite your purpose at your next level and get your business going too. Things I do intuitive business coaching. And also there's a free download on my website too that you'll see right away when you go there. The free meditate and make money meditation gets you all attuned and connected, gets you your guidance for the day each day. And it's a great business joy and growth strategy because the people that use it always are reporting to me that it helps them to grow their business. So check those two things out at yoursacredpurpose.com. Okay, Susan,
Mm.
do you have any last words for the audience today?
Yeah, I think the last words I would share would be, truly remember who you are. Remember that you're never on your own. And remember, you've got a really important reason for being here.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so delicious. Okay. Thank you, Susan. Thank you so much. It's been phenomenal having you on the show today.
Thank you so much, Daniel.
And to everyone that's been listening in, like I always say, keep on tuning in and we'll keep on rocking to hear a Spiritual Rockstar podcast. Till next time. For listening to Spiritual Rockstar podcast, stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.